There is young love, romantic, intoxicating, celebrated in poetry and song. And then there is mature love, time-tested, battle-hardened, a combination of tenderness and grit. 90-year-old Ray Beeson walks like he's late for a train. Truth is, he has a milkshake he delivers at 11:30 a.m. sharp every day.
Every day, every single day, my dad goes through that drive-thru. He gets Mom a milkshake. You better be out of the way when he goes walking down the hall because he hustles to see her every single day.
He's here to see his wife, Doris Beeson. They have been married 67 years. Ray still remembers the moment he first saw her.
I saw her on the church steps Sunday morning, and somehow I knew that was her. I always told people that there's no such thing as love at first sight. Well, there was.
Doris has Alzheimer's now.
I love you very much. A barrel and a peck, and a hug around the neck. Yeah.
After taking care of her by himself for years, Ray finally moved her into the lodge at Natchez Trace.
Here, baby girl.
But he's here every single day.
You probably think it's kind of foolish, but I call her baby girl. And I started out that way 67 years ago.
And although most days the conversation is one-sided,
And a little bit okra.
it doesn't matter.
That's a girl. You like that?
Ray visits and feeds his baby girl with joy.
Through growing up on a farm, losing his parents, going to the Navy, not finishing high school, but then getting his doctorate, he's a PhD now. Through all of that, the fight of his life is with the love of his life. Love is easy when things are great. Love, the metal of love is tested when the waters are rough.
Yet Ray sees it all, even this.
I love you for sentimental reasons.
As a gift.
I hope you do believe me.
So precious he will not ask God for anything more, not even one more day.
How can I ask for more? I say that to him when I would like some more time, but how could I ask for it when he's given me so much? I love you, baby. Yes, I do.
Ray Beeson has a profound piece of marriage advice. If you're married within 10 years, you will develop some problems. If you divorce and marry someone else, within 10 years, you will develop similar problems. Why not just keep your vow and solve them in your first marriage? I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News. I have known this family and this story for almost 20 years. It is a story that still haunts me. Nevertheless, it is worth telling, so powerful it might make someone never drink and drive again. Michelle Brooks loved rural Overton County. She was all country.
She was a tomboy for years. She could shoot guns with the next of them. She changed her oil in her car, and she just went four-wheeling with them. And she finally grew up and found this guy that she was crazy about. They'd been dating 5 years. And she said, I'm going to get married. I'm going to have this little black-haired girl.
So she put on this beautiful handmade dress, went up to Dale Hollow for a simple but lovely wedding. The only thing that went wrong, her Uncle Junebug showed up drunk at the reception.
He embarrassed her, of course, because he was drunk, and she loved him, but she didn't want him around her when he was drunk.
Still, Michelle enjoyed her reception before heading to her honeymoon.
Everybody was happy. Everybody was having a good time. But it didn't end that way.
The newlyweds never got out of Overton County. They were hit head-on by a drunk driver on Highway 111. It was her own Uncle Junebug.
She lived 4 days on life support, and she had a stroke right on the last. And we had hopes when we first got there that trauma surgeon thought he could save her, but she had bled way too much.
Aline still keeps the wedding dress her daughter changed out of right before the accident.
She was really loved. She was really loved. We worshiped her.
Still this painful after 25 years, the story never gets easier, and so many victims.
She'd been married about 4 or 5 hours. And her husband decided he didn't want to live in it. He tried suicide a couple of times, so we had that to deal with too. But he's never married again, and he comes every time we have an event. He's always here with us. He's still my son-in-law.
There would be no black-haired babies. These are the last pictures Michelle Brooks ever took in the last hours of her life.
That is the story of Sis. It's been a long time now, but
the reason for that long pause, there was unfinished business. Carmen Junebug Reagan was sentenced to 6 years in prison. From the day of the accident through sentencing, Aline Davidson never spoke to her brother until she got a call that he was dying of cancer and moved to St. Thomas Hospital.
I didn't think I wanted to see him. But I finally got up to brass to go down there and see him, and I was glad I did. I was glad I didn't let him die without me talking to him. Yes, he broke my heart, but we made up before he died.
The two are now buried in the same Overton County Cemetery. Aline Davidson is now 81 years old, and as you saw, it still hurts to talk about her, Michelle, but she is so glad she forgave her brother. She actually served and fed him his last meal. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News. Why do we love underdog stories so much? Maybe it's because we all have that deep-seated belief that anything can happen, that sometimes when there is the will, there is a way. Center College in Danville, Kentucky is a 201-year-old college sitting naturally in the dead center of Kentucky. There are gorgeous original buildings still standing, but the best story on this campus is linked to the only graffiti on campus, right here on the old post office. With an old-fashioned paintbrush, someone painted C6H0. They call it the formula.
And the reason that C6H0 matters so much to us at Center, and I think to our America, it's really not about football. It's even not about the game. It's a larger construct where the things that seem impossible are made possible.
It was 1921, a time when Southern football was a joke. If you wanted real football, you had Notre Dame and Knute Rockne, and even better, you had mighty Harvard. In fact, in 1921, Harvard had not been beaten in 6 years. They had won 7 national championships. And who were these praying colonels from rural Kentucky? They had one rickety bleacher and a couple hundred students. These guys were going to play Harvard? Hopeless, right? But here's the thing. Center had a quarterback named Bo McMillin who was probably the best player in America. He sure thought so.
Bo McMillin, if you could imagine, was one of those guys that in the huddle, he would say to his teammates, I'm going to score on this play. And he would.
Still, this was Harvard. Unbeaten in 6 years, at home in front of 48,000 people. This was before TV, before radio, so people gathered in downtown Danville to listen to the game on Telegram.
There was crowds of thousands in Danville and Somerset listening over the intercom. They had the thing wired up, and as soon they say Bo McMillin for 6 yards around the right end, and there'd be a cheer, and they would have to wait like a minute, and then they said, Bo McMillin tackled for a loss, 1 yard. Oh. I mean, it was, but you know, it's funny that the crowds would stand on end listening to this game.
Until Bo McMillin scored on a 32-yard run. David 6, Goliath nothing. The giant was toppled. C6, H0. It was front page news in Boston. The praying colonels came home to a hero's welcome. The governor was here to shake everyone's hand. There was a big parade down Main Street. Everybody showed up. There was a flatbed truck, someone playing piano, 2 saxophonists belting out the Center College song, and of course the paint buckets. A young woman named Ruby Moss wrote a friend, quote, "The only thing I can say to describe is the town went wild. Every window in town received a coat of yellow paint. Center 6, Harvard nothing." It was real stuff too, not whitewash.
This was a little tiny institution in the South that went up and played in front of 48,000 people at Harvard in Boston, and they beat them. And it really was back then, would it be like us playing Alabama? Well, kind of.
In 1950, the Associated Press named it the biggest upset of the first half-century in American sports. The New York Times has called it probably the biggest upset in college football history. But here at Center, it's something different.
And so I think these kind of stories are worthy of being retold because they say over and over again, hard work, dreaming big, imagining what others can't imagine in this country is still possible. Happy anniversary, Center College. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.